isn't, y'all? Great. Why isn't? Come on for the walk. Yeah. Get your mats if you're going to do some stretches. Line up if you're walking wall to wall. Jump on your bike. Start your treadmill. Get your weights if you're lifting weights. Line up if you're walking wall to wall or in place. You remember when I was in Nevada? I walked in place. I didn't have a treadmill. 27 days of walking a half hour in place, so it can be done. Plus, when you walk with me, yeah. Oh, maestro. I mean, O-L-E, maestro, not O-L-D. Oh, maestro. Ron Jackson on guitar. You know? I tell you. Ain't it something? Walking down, they cut me up until I'm just a no. Ain't that something? When the cousin Hatfields and McCoy and Douglas was strumming on the old banjo, it was fine. Soon as the brothers and the sisters started with the guitar, it became devil music. Look at this. Man. The devil music. And that's what they teach. But they're liars. Oh, gosh. I think all that Pulitzer Prize and a prize and all that kind of stuff, that has to be for liars. For surely no truth is in the mix. Great writers, y'all. Come on for the walk. We're going to talk about Rachel Dolezal. Or her African name, which I cannot pronounce now because I can't remember. Cousin Rachel. She perfect for what I learned. Let me tell y'all something about 65. I don't know, my grandmother and other women, they didn't talk about aging other than the fact that they had the medicine bags and the aches and the pains, and they just made it seem not the thing to do. But I'm telling you now, it's on Broadway. It is the bomb dizzle-boozie's. Look it. You start looking back at your life about 40ish. Because you got 40 years to look back on. And I'm telling you, that number for me was 65. I had all these questions all my whole life. All these questions. And I dug and dug and dug for answers. I developed a concept for Africans in American theme parks. I incorporated us. We even set a board. So I did my research, but I was looking more towards, no, can't put that in. Oh no, they can't put that in. They'll never want that park in. And all the what can't put in was the things that I was asking questions about. It's strange, y'all. This human experience. Anyway, finally, pieces start coming together at 65. Now, for those of you, who've had like a fucked up life, 65 may not be too good for you. Because all you have to look back on is your missteps. Especially if you ain't do nothing to correct them. So, there's all these questions. Now, I told y'all I was the only one I had to keep to myself though. I was like, they in chains like that and sardines? How in the hootin' bootin' tootin' fruitin'? Can y'all get us to pick all that kind of stuff? Y'all treating us like that. And just quickly the ancestors. Prisoner of war. I was like, no, They didn't teach us that. So it must be wrong. So then, I started asking, okay, just personal conversation between me and me on the inside. Okay. Who would do that? Who would take millions of Africans and put them on penal colonies? And then the African American intellects, historians, etc., so as a man taught, so shall he think, folks. They said, no. England went into Africa. And again, I'm doing the math. And the math ain't mathing. Europe would have ran their ass in Africa, they'd have got fucked up and beat up. So I know that didn't happen. So I knew that Africans had been all over. Africans went into Europe. But it just didn't say how they got on all these penal colonies. There is hundreds of penal colonies. Barbados, Virgin Islands, all the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, all those South, not the South America, Brazil, Guyana. These are all penal colonies, and I'd have to sit down and make a list for you, but do your own research. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I was saying to myself, okay, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that. But how is it here? I'm here now being tortured by them, because at that time, ancestors, I'm saying at that time, I call them white people, I call them cousins now, I know. Oh, these white people. Nobody fought back, and then I dismissed that because they were prisoners of war. They were changing each other where you can't breathe or move. That's a prisoner of war. Because you know if they get loose, that's your ass. So I said, okay. But the Europeans were dragging their asses on the ground or hitting each other with stones when the Africans came through there. I couldn't understand how that could change. If in fact that is true. Going back and forth with the ancestors. Hit 65, bam. Rachel Dolezal. I tell y'all, when y'all go to those museums, I used to call them of stolen treasures, but now knowing that they the cousins, they want African remnants and stuff around them just as much as we do. The sad part is they make sure we can't get none, and they get them. Look when you go to the museum. Look closely at all those old 15th, 13th, 14th century pictures of these Europeans, and especially the European crowns. You start seeing that they look a lot like Rachel Dolezal, who changed her name to an African name. She has the right to do so. Every cousin who acknowledges, because it's true, it's there, their African connection, which came through Europe, and the Africans invading Europe, ruling Europe for years, mixing with the Europeans, promoting the Europeans, showing the Europeans the African way of life, giving them the cults, which y'all call religion. So Rachel, and then they lost control. They started, you imagine them coming in, we see it all the time. We see it here. Go back to your Willie Lynch theory. Go back to South Africa, where apartheid was. You had the Africans, you had the mixed race, and then you had the Morgs, the cousins, because they came out of Europe too. Those European cousins that wound up in South Africa, and even no matter how bad it is for them, they are not leaving because they know they are African. To them, they just came home. We, these dreadful, wretched, Liarvilles, I'm using the True Crime Squad, Liarvilles from Lionville. These liars, they made sure over the generations that we never connected back to England, connected back to, I'm not saying England, connected to Europe, connected back to Africa. Rachel Dolezal, you look at her and you say, oh, she's white. Go back, go to the museums, get your museum, but when you go to the library, say, hey, Vicki, let me go see if I can look at all those old pictures. Look at them and you'll say, holy shit, they were fucking Africans. They were mixed race. That's how they all wound up with Christianity. That's how they wound up with Hebrewism. That's how they wound up with Islam. I told y'all the Africans were in Russia. They birthed out and killed the African, but they kept the Islam and the Christianity. They killed off the Ethiopians, the Moors and everybody else. But you can't kill it all from the blood. When you see Joe Biden them stand up there, especially with his dark spots now, they always say, oh, stay out the sun, or when you get older, you get dark spots. No, you're going to get dark spots anyway. Because you're African. Lying liars from Liarville. I get so disgusted now when I think of it. You, Rachel Dolezal. Cousins. That's why the ancestors said, they're sure every time I said, I want to say, what? They said, no. Cousins, there is no such thing as a white person. That is a phantom idea, a poisonous idea. And that's why they keep the history from you. What's the history now in Tennessee or Georgia? Black people came from a seed? Oh, no. They had trades. We had trades when we got here. And we couldn't use them. Or we didn't have no trades, and the cousin had to teach us. Do you see how the lies go on and on? Especially because these Hatfield, McCoy, Douglas, Dim, and Republican Rachel Dolezal, I'm talking about, look at her complexion. She is African. She has African in her. And so does every everybody on this goddamn planet. Everybody else is taking it well. They accept, they know. They tried to kill them off. You can't. It don't work like that. You're vile, you're disgusting, you're lying. You all have African in you. All of you. Just my skin is darker. But let's go back to Rachel Dolezal and why she was properly kicked out of the NAACP. Though that is a dying dinosaur. And I can tell you all my experience with the African burial ground. Made 2 trips there. A whole pamphlet, everything. 5 hours going on. Get the African remains of Howard. Make sure they pay Howard their money. Dr. Ogletree up at Harvard. Oh, let me see this packaging. I said packaging, this packaging. Memorandums of agreement. Memorandums of agreement, highlighted. And the Dutch brought them there. So now when you look at these Dutch people, because they have on TV, oh, the Dutch and the blonde hair, and look at them African Americans. You will be able to see the African in them. The haterators. The cousins haterators. Let's take a break and get some water. I said, come on with me. Save your toes and feet. Cause when you walk, hey y'all. You can eat. I was like, you know, when I do my workout in the gym, I be looking all kind of ways. But I'm in there to work out. And trust me, none of my videos are anything to do with men other than if you exercise and I'm exercising. I know one thing on this penal colony. Anytime you get old, they say you're horny. Ain't that something? They say you're horny when you get old. They break it all down to sex for us. And the fact that we're old and non-attractive, then we're horny and chase after boys, because they're all boys. Honey, they're all boys. 70-year-old, still a boy. Woo! No thank you. I don't mind skating with you. When I'm skating, we can skate together. I'll take a 90-year-old man that say, honey, I go skating 3 days a week. You want to go skate with me? I said, Papa, Daddy, roll through here and pick me up. Mr. Kelly, I was skating with him. Mr. Kelly was like 80. I had gotten in my 50s. I was in my early 50s. But he skated for 45 minutes, and guess who skated with him for 45 minutes? He dropped me off and went home, and I went home. 2 years. Me and Mr. Kelly. So, but, no, I ain't no cooler. The way I look when I go into that cold garage to work out, I decided I'm going to video it. And I decided I'm going to share it on YouTube and Facebook. And you can clearly see, I ain't man chasing. I'm health chasing. Anyway, So I told you I went through the NAACP for the African burial ground in New York City. And the remains was at Howard. I go back to one of the Kwanzaa videos. I tell the whole story there. And they did nothing. And there were a lot of East Indian people working there. So this is how ignorant these Hatfield, McCoy, Douglas, Dim, and Republican wardens, overseers, just round them up scumbag cousins. They didn't teach us that. And to that list, I was in New York City school system. And I was told that I was around the most brilliant minds in the world. They never taught us we came from Africa. But they also were accepting the fact that they are Ethiopians. German Ethiopians. German Africans. They still working through that. As they fight over there, and as I tell ancestors tell me to tell African Americans, stay out of it. Let the cousins have it. Because you see, the cousins put us on penal colonies all around the globe. And they'd have been dealt with a lot faster if we start staying out of it. As they used to say, let them catch their own ass. Anyway, whew, that was an ancestor vibe. Anyway, Rachel Dolezal is African. After the Africans came over, they spent hundreds of years mixing with Europeans. Because, like I said, they was running around hitting each other with rocks. They confessed to that themselves in their history lessons. So I'm not telling no lies. It's in the books. So, after racemen, now how did that was another one of my questions. Why is mixing races so bad? What's the danger? Who cares? Well, let me tell you why the cousins care. The cousins care because that's how they came to power. The Africans who were in power, mixing with the Europeans, and of course, they became family. So the king mixing, the king's children mixing, everybody mixing. And then one day the Africans turned around and they saw all their mixed race European. But it was too late. Each kingdom fell. Bam, 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 bam. Each kingdom fell. They wasn't going to let them run back to Africa. They put us, our ancestors, as far away from the continent of Africa and Europe as possible. Now, planes make them closer, but back then, no. So, all the King Henrys, the Elizabeths, the Marys, all them, Marie Antoinettes, Alexander Tsar the Great, all that bullshit, Africans, the Rachel Dolezal Africans. That's why I say African Americans, stop it. Stop chastising yourself and going against yourself. Letting these folks experiment on you and treat you like you're nothing. Don't take it in like that. They're just jealous cousins. And if we stay out of it, like always, they'll eat each other up. Stop voting. Ooh. 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 I wasn't going to say that one. That one has been in me for about 2 weeks. I was like, no, I ain't going to say that. I ain't going to say that. But that vibe got through. Let them eat themselves. And if they come after us, just say we ain't in Europe no more. You'll be dealt with. The cousins can be dealt with. And see, that's another thing that I asked. I said, ancestors, how can these, then I was calling them white people, hate us so much for so many centuries? Like the hate ain't even lessening. How is that possible? I've seen wars. I've seen it, and they go on. Why are we in prison on this penal colony still? Through finances. Miseducation. Why is that hate? Why am I still facing job discrimination? Why still, what the hell? What? And the ancestor said, follow the hate. You'll find the answer, follow the hate. Honey, can't nobody hate you like family. I had to look back on my own life. I got some cousins that love me. But I got more that hate my entire gut. Would have, listen, could pull my arms off, legs off, and drag me down the street. That sound familiar, y'all? I got some cousins that hate me so much they can hang me. That sound familiar, y'all? So the ancestor said, don't. Call them what they are. They're your cousins. See them for what you are. Go back when y'all go to the museum. I don't want to see them white people. They ain't your white people. They're your kin. Go look at those pictures so you can see the African in them. And then when they get to the powdered stage, you know that's the real Rachel Dolezal. She's African. But she don't have to stay on the NAACP. Why? Because how you think we wound up here? The Rachel Dolezals. African on the inside, European looking on the outside. But they hate. It comes to a point. She loves it now. She got the whole African name and everything. There's a lot like Rachel Dolezal. Millions of them. But then there's millions of them like Rachel Dolezal that hate the African in them. And you never know what side they're going to be on. One day they can be all, don't touch African Americans. I love African Americans. Oh, sister. And then the next day, they can say, string them up, citizens arrest, sundown town. Y'all just experiment. No healing going on, just experimentation. So she got to go off. Her allegiance is broken up. That's why she got to go. But when you ask yourself, how do we become enslaved? Okay, get the cotton picking shit bullshit out of your whole system. How do we become enslaved on these penal colonies? Look at the Rachel Dolezal. Look at her. You can see the African in her. You can really see. Stop saying whites like the ancestors told me. Start saying cousins, so you can see the African that's in them, and know that we are more alike than we are different. We are more alike than we are different. We are more the same. We are more the same than we are different. But if you're a pretender, if you embrace the African Christianity, the African Judaism, the African Islam, then you need to be a hell of a lot more kinder and more decent and respectful to the African, because that's where you got it from. And if you're keeping it, it's the African in you that's keeping it. Jimmy Swaggart. all these cousins, passing cousins. All these passing cousins embracing African cults. Y'all call it religion. But hating the African. German Ethiopians loving the Hebrew, hating the African. Oh no, they say, oh no, hang on. Okay, all right. I told y'all I was raised in East New York in the 50s. Y'all know what I'm talking about, and y'all know what I'm talking about. But what I say to us African Americans, stop getting angry at yourself. Oh, my skin was like that. That's all BS. We're all the same. Our Africanism shows a lot better on our skin tone. It's called melanin. Melanin. And their African is more on the inside. And that's another reason why they embrace Christianity, Judaism, Islamism, Islamic. It's that African in them. Though they hate the African outside of them, which is me. With the African they can see, they don't like. The African cults satisfies that African in them. African Americans, please start loving yourself. Stop comparing yourself to the cousins. They live in lies, honey. Go back and look at that art stuff. You'll see Rachel Dolezal. I remember the first time I saw Adam Clayton Powell, my mother kept saying, yeah. But back then they were saying Negro, black Negro. They said, no, he a Negro. And I kept looking at that picture and I kept saying, I don't see it. But I was seeing it. So that's why Rachel was kicked off. And any other cousin that joins any African organization to run it, they got things, organizations for you cousins to run. Y'all running everything. She just know one thing I can say, Richard. She know African American history. She know they came out of Africa and went to Europe and came here, and she know that's something that we don't know. Well, we learning. So when you look at that, those kings and Queens and Victorias and Marys and all this, blah, blah, blah. Cousins. Look a little closer. When you look at Prince Charles, look a little closer. Because you can tell them by the fact that they're constantly saying why they ain't black. Why they ain't black? We smart. We can get into schools. We white. We block people. We block black people from going to school. And they dumb. See, white power. We smart. We block them from learning. So we go dumb. Charlie's cousins. Squeeze your gut, tuck your elbow, neither up nor down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 for good luck. When I look back at these videos, if you go back to the first one, you remember how I was bent over and I told y'all my ultimate goal was to be able to stand upright. Because gravity, when your shoulders are up like that, gravity pushes you down by your shoulders. When you're bent like this, gravity pushes you down by your back. So that's what all the skating and you see the walking, it worked out. Anyway, I just love y'all. Squeeze your gut, tuck in your elbow, neither up nor down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 for good luck. Yeah, I love y'all so much, and I appreciate y'all because you came on the journey with me. Ain't over with yet. Because I got to make sure these back muscles stay like that. That's why I'm roller skating. But I thank y'all for coming and supporting the walk and walking with me and give me your little comments and stuff. Your comments aren't little. I appreciate your comments. And thank you for supporting me on the walk. Like, comment, share. See, I remember that. That's why I'm still roller skating. I gotta tell you something. That little fall on the bum really straightened out a lot of stuff. Like, comment, share. Tell an uncle, tell an auntie, tell a cousin, tell a friend. Subscribe. Have a wonderful day. I stay away from cold terms. Once you're out of the cold, honey, you never want to go back in. Like, comment, share, tell an uncle, tell an auntie, tell a cousin, tell a friend, subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.